Hey everybody, just thought I would do a quick video and put you up to speed what I'm doing, where I'm at on the 1934 Atwater Kent 145 radio that I'm doing a complete restore job on. And why I decided to do that is beyond me. I typically don't work on electronics quite this old to where you have to basically pretty much do a complete 100% restoration. Some folks would argue with me that I'm not doing a complete restoration, and that's, well, I am, but I'm not going back with the original look. For instance, I'm not melting down these wax capacitors or paper capacitors and restuffing them and reusing them. But this is where I'm at on it. Got the tube sockets back into the chassis. Went back in with brass bolts versus the rivets that the set originally had. Getting ready to reinstall the tuner that goes here on these grommets. And have made some progress underneath the chassis, although it might not look like it because there's not much in there. And here's my other Atwater Kent 145, and you can see what the bottom of it's supposed to look like. So there's quite a bit missing from my chassis right now. But what I have come back in with is this is one of the trimmers that is used to align the radio, and this is the oscillator coil, and then this is a 1934 version of a mounting strip, like a modern one. Looks like this. At least it's an Atwater Kent. And that's what I wanted to point out. One thing I wanted to point out, there's the very same thing in the original. And you can see those resistors are quite a bit different than what we use today, or even they used back then. He had, Atwater Kent, those guys, they had their own way of making resistors and color coding them. For instance, this is, I think this is red and blue, and back in that day, if you look at this chart, red and blue meant that that's a 100k ohm resistor. So that's kind of interesting. So what I did was, when I started working on this, I thought, that'd be really kind of cool to leave those in if I could get away with it. But unfortunately, two of those were way out of tolerance. Two of them actually were right on. So the other thing that I thought was interesting was how they constructed these. And that's just a piece of carbon right there in the middle of a plastic band. And then what they did was they just soldered these end caps on. So you can see I tried to pull this off. It had leads connected to it, and the whole end cap just melted. That was off of this bigger 2-watt one. It has two pieces of carbon in it. But you can see right here, this is where they soldered their leads. And I'm not real sure how they did that, because this whole thing is solder. If you put your soldering iron on here, this whole cap will end up looking like that. That's the cap off that smaller one. It's really kind of interesting. So they must have had some kind of mold where they did one end and then came back around, filled it in with carbon, and did the other end. You can see there's the end of that's where the two pieces of carbon connected. So it was kind of neat how they did that, but unfortunately I'm not able to use, here's another one of their terminal strips, and this is a 100K resistor, and this is supposed to be a 250, but I didn't have a 250K, so I had to use a 150 and 100K resistor in series here to get my 250K, but it's kind of interesting. Test one of these real quick. This one was supposed to be 100K, and I got that connected. Let's see what kind of reading we get. So there you go. I mean, it's low, but it's at 95K, and this thing is 80 years old. But the others that I tested, there was another one, I can't remember what the value was, that was close enough. It would have been good. I was comfortable with leaving it in, but then the other two were not. So I thought it looked kind of crazy to have two of those old ones in there and then have two modern ones in there. So I basically took them all out. There's also a capacitor down here. It's a 0.05 cap, and I just put a 0.047 in there. So anyway, once I get these terminal boards or strips, they're actually little boards, but put those back in, I'll reinstall the tuner, which is over here, and I got all the pots out. This is the on and off pot, and cleaned it real good, and it ohms out and checks out okay. This is the tone control. Got it cleaned up real nice, shiny. It was pretty dirty. And then this is the band switch, and it was really dirty. But I cleaned it up and rewired all of its internal wires, replaced a couple of caps on it. And then the dial plate is painted white where it should be. And the other thing that I did was on the power transformer, I went ahead and applied power to it. Now, you know, I ohmed it out originally to make sure that this thing was okay, but really until you apply power to it, do you really know if it's safe to use? So interesting to note on the schematic, they originally used brown wires to the primary. You can see there it says brown, and you can see I've got orange, because and the reason I did that was when you come over to the secondary, there were also two brown wires, and those go and are the heater, apply the heater voltage for the 80 rectifier tube. So I didn't really want to take a chance. I guess I could have, you know, I would have had to have some way to mark them. I didn't want to get confused, so I made my new primary side wires orange, and what I did was just tacked on a power cord to these two ends, and then, you know, did a check on the two red wires, and I was looking for 2.5 volts of filament voltage to supply for all the other tubes other than the rectifier, and I was looking for 2.5 volts, and I got 2.9, which is good because there was no load. The black wire is the center tap of the secondary, and it goes to ground. And then here are my brown wires, okay, and looking for 5 volts there, and came up with 5.2 volts, so it's right on there. And then these two green wires they provide the plate voltage for that 80 rectifier tube, and each plate needs 350 volts. So there's two plates, pin 2 and pin 3. So I was looking for 700 volts, and I was at 739 with no load. And that really upset my multimeter, made it squawk a little bit, but it told me that the power transformer was good. So that's where I'm at. Just slowly but surely putting parts in. As soon as I get the tuner installed and these terminal strips in place, then I'll probably go ahead and put the band switch in and then start rewiring some of those wires, as well as some of the oscillator wires. There's only one of these wires that goes back up top. All the rest of these connect somewhere underneath the chassis. So, long and tedious, total restoration, just simply long and tedious. But I'm about to the point where I'm going to have to put in an order for some parts that I know I don't have. And so probably what I'm going to do, being the antsy, probably ADD guy that I am, probably what I'll do is I'll start on a television project that I'll be working on at the same time as I finish this up. So just the way I am, I can't seem to just do one thing at once. And but it's coming along pretty nice, and it's pretty nice. This is the first time I've ever done a restoration and had a like chassis. Not only do I have the schematic, which is simple enough, 5-tube radio, and you can see I've highlighted what I'm highlighting is what I have wired or installed and checked to this point. But it's also kind of nice having, kind of cheating, having another chassis for reference, which is really, really a nice thing to have. So anyway, just want to give you an update real quick on how this is coming. And as I get more and more work done, try to give you an update. Here's some of the parts that have came out, and so if anybody's wondering why every piece of wire in this thing is going to be replaced, I don't know if you can see that or not, but I mean, anytime I move this chassis around, just pieces of matter of coming in and recapping and or anything like that, this had to have a complete restoration. Okay, so as I said, I think my next project will be a television project, and I think this is what it's going to be. This is a small portable RCA set. This is a recent Craigslist find. You can see there it's an RCA Victor. I don't know what size it is. Maybe when we turn it over here in a minute, look for the model number. We'll be able to tell, but looks like it's about maybe a 17-inch CRT. Not sure. Not sure at all, but it's kind of a beige with gold trim, and looks to me to be a mid-50s set. And it's VHF only, and amazingly this thing works, and it doesn't work that bad. This looks like this might be on off in volume, and then this is contrast. Okay. Oh, let's get a look at the back here. Alright, as I said, it's VHF only. So this may be even early 50s. I'm not sure. I don't have much information on this thing. There's our vertical hold. There is brightness. And this looks like this might be horizontal hold. Down in here. But it appears to be, to me, a series strung set. And let's see if we can lay this baby on its side and find a model number. Oh yeah, here we go. Serial number. I'll be darned. Oh, there it is. What in the world does that say? You may be able to see that better than I can. 14 PT 8033, maybe? I don't know. So it's 14-inch set. Might be kind of a fun thing to do. Kind of a cute little TV. Might have been a great bedroom TV back in the day. Let's take the back off and see what it looks like. Okay, that was simple enough. There's like 5 or 6 screws, and then there's a interlock that pulls off, and then a tuner connection that goes right there, and it exposes the back. Here's a little bit of a problem, but that could have been a replacement there. It just doesn't look factory to me, but that's easy enough to fix. You need a new cord plug. And here is the back of the set. Yeah. Oh, interesting PCB board. Looks like right here, soldered to the frame. Yep. This might be more challenging to work on than I realize. I took this off. This wasn't off. I took this off just to look. See, I'll have to get the CR70 on this, although I do know it works because the owner had it plugged in when I walked in the door, and I was somewhat horrified, but then also pleased to see that it did create a picture and an image and had sound and everything. So I guess the only thing I can do to this thing is break it, but hopefully we won't do that. We'll be able to restore it, get it playing very nice. Seems like I've heard that these sets play pretty well. I've never owned one of these RCAs. I've seen them, but you can see down there. Looks like the IF cans down there. Oh, there's the tube chart. Yeah. Hope you can see that very well. Looks like it uses 15 tubes, which would include the CRT. I don't know if I'm going to be able to get that. Come on, camera. Maybe he didn't like me going that fast. Trying to get a look at that picture tube. There it is. Oh, come on. $17. I think that says DO6A. I know that's a horizontal out, but what am I trying to find here? Interesting tube lineup. Couple 4s, couple 6s, couple 8s. There we go. It's a 14 ATP4. And a 1X2B high voltage rectifier. Okay. Huh. I'll have to get the schematic on this. This is obviously series strung. Series strung set. Anyway, this will be what I'll be working on the side while working on that Atwater Kent radio. Just can't help myself. I got to get back to working on the TV. I can only work on radio so long. Okay, there'll be more to come on this one, folks. Thanks for watching.